as the crow flies on the Vance Crowe podcast.
And a few months ago, I started seeing you post about coronavirus. And for a while there, I thought it was kind of cute. And then I started seeing it all the time. And I eventually wrote you and told you that I felt like you had the virus in your brain and that I was admonishing you for being so loud about it. And I thought you were really harming your reputation. And now, fast forward a month and a half, I am nothing short of ashamed of doing that because I was wrong and you were right. And so I wanted to bring you on and find out, how did you see this coming and what do you see coming in the future? So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much. So we have known about risk of pandemics for a long time. That is, epidemiologists for many years have said that the question of the next global pandemic is not a question of if, but of when. And I booked this down in the back of my head as something that people that are paid to professionally worry about these things say, which means they do look for a particular type of black swan event, and they look for the possibilities of this event. And they're relatively smart people, and they're well educated on these topics, and they probably have a point. But I was not that much concerned. It was not something that I was constantly on the lookout for. It was just when I saw what happened in Wuhan and how quickly this got out of control, and when I saw the measures that the Chinese government, after a short period of being undecided what to do about this, implemented, and I saw that this was crossing the border, it was relatively clear, given the rate at which the infection spread, that this would not die out outside of the borders of China unless similar measures would be used as if they were being used in China. And it was obvious that Southeast Asian countries, South Korea and Singapore and Taiwan, were using these measures. They were taking this very seriously. Other provinces in China were also acting on the intelligence of Wuhan directly after they had the first few cases. And the Western countries were all not doing this. And as a result, it was pretty obvious that all the Western countries would get it. I mean, also all the third world countries are going to get it, yes, but it seemed to be inevitable. I thought basically, for me, the flipping point was somewhere in early mid-January, that this would pretty inevitably happen. And it would be a matter of time until we would react. And what really concerned me was that our institutions maintain the idea that we can get by without containment, and that just let this burn through the population. And this was extremely concerning to me. I thought that they probably will redecide at some point, because when you realize what the mortality is on this, and you realize if you don't do anything, then the number of dead people in the US will be something between 1 million and 16 million people. It's not the end of the world, but it will be remembered as a Holocaust-level event. And when the actual dying
Holy shit, I've never heard anybody say that, even all the way up until this point. Like, you're the first person to say this is a Holocaust-level event. That's pretty stark.
Yes, basically, when Mark Lipsitch of Harvard explained that he thinks if this goes to the entire population, we're looking at 40 to 80% people that get infected at some point. And then if you looked at the Chinese mortality rates and the fact that if a lot of people are infected at the same time, something north of 1 million people with active symptoms, then this will lead to a complete collapse of our medical system, which means most people that need intensive care are not going to get it. And everybody who needs intensive care and doesn't get it dies, right? This is the definition of intensive care, which means we are looking at the mortality rate at the upper range of what you saw in China. So basically similar things as happened in Wuhan at the top of the epidemic would be things that would be seen in the US. And this was basically my upper limit when you look at what's going to happen. And so if you have 327 million people and 80% of them get infected, and but between 2 and 4% of them die, that's pretty staggering, right? And so I thought, no way this is something that our governments will let happen. But the difficulty is that they will probably not try to be ahead of the crowds. Our political leaders are not selected for being very far ahead of everybody else. And the public consciousness was much more complacent. And the other thing that irritated me was that the US was implementing norms on not being concerned about the virus. I thought it was nice of you when you tried to warn me that I was jeopardizing my reputation. I didn't see this as something negative. I thought that you were genuinely concerned, right? But I also thought, what is Vance seeing that I am not seeing? And what he is seeing is probably the public sentiment. He is part of a hive mind that punishes you if you think the wrong things, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about that for our entire relationship. It has been, you gave a talk that changed my life. So just so people have a frame set for who you are, you're not an epidemiologist. You talk about artificial intelligence and how to really understand what's going on with things like machine learning. And I came across your work right as I was trying to figure out, why is it that people believe things that are absolutely untrue and yet they're rewarded for believing them? And so I really developed an entire hypothesis about how people believe what they believe, and I talk about you literally everywhere I've gone. I've spoken to more than 100,000 people talking about Joscha Bach says that you know very little at all, and really what you know is what your tribe believes and what is acceptable among that group of people. And I fucking did it to you at the moment that it was happening, because you're exactly right. I was a part of the tribe that was the people that were saying, this overreaction to coronavirus is just that, and it's bad. And you are one of those people that I don't even know that you really see social norms, do you?